Welcome to English class. Today we are going to study the lesson Fire, Friend and Foe. This has been taken from class 7th of NCERT book Honeycomb. As you know that fire is both useful and dangerous. We must be knowing first what is fire, how did we discover it, and how do we control it. So we'll deal with all these types of the questions in this lesson. Fire, friend and foe. Friend, you must be familiar with this term. Foe means enemy. Early man didn't know what fire was, but he must have seen the damage it could cause. He must have watched lightning and volcanoes long before he began to use fire himself. Fire was powerful and dangerous, and he was frightened. So, in this paragraph, we have started that who discovered fire? The early man. Okay, so the early man, he didn't know first of all what fire was, but he had seen it. He had seen the damages caused by fire. He must have also seen lightning, volcanoes, long before he could discover fire and use it. Fire was very powerful and dangerous, means it could cause harm. It can cause harms whenever it is out of control. So the early man was frightened whenever he saw the damages caused by fire. Fire may have puzzled early man, but we now know that fire is the result of a chemical reaction. When the oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place. Energy in the form of heat and light is replaced in this process. This is what we call fire. So in this paragraph, you can see that whenever the early man would have watched the damages caused by fire, he must be puzzled, means confused. Maybe he didn't know what is it, maybe the scientific phenomena behind it. But now we know that fire is a result of a chemical reaction, and in this there is oxygen, and oxygen whenever it combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, as we can say a paper, wood and anything that can be burnt, and it has carbon and hydrogen inside. A chemical reaction takes place whenever oxygen in the air combines with both these carbon and hydrogen. Energy and light is released in this process. This is what we call fire. Three things are needed to make fire. So you must be knowing, you must have studied in science class also, that the three things which are needed to make fire are fuel, oxygen and heat. Wood, coal, cooking gas and petrol are some of the examples of fuels. Oxygen that comes from the air, that's why when you blow on smoldering paper, smoldering means which is already inflamed, which is burning slowly. Okay, so smoldering, it often bursts into flame. The third thing needed to make fire is heat. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves. If fuel is also there, oxygen is there, as you can see the furniture and the wood and this and that, many things are there in the open air. But until and unless the heat is brought near to it, or this is heated, till that there is no fire. So only two things cannot make the fire, means only oxygen and fuel cannot make the fire in the absence of heat. And even if heat is there and oxygen is there but no fuel, then there will be no fire. So I hope you have understood it. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves, or else a newspaper or a stick lying in the open would catch fire on its own. to burn a piece of paper or wood? What we need, you can see the picture of a fire, of a house. Means a house is on fire, the fire extinguishers. So the fireman, we heat it before it catches fire. We generally do it with the lighted match. So lighted match, whatever you use in order to burn your gas also. So a lighter is used and matchstick is used. Every fuel has a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. This temperature is called the flash point, or this is also known as kindling temperature of the fuel. Means every fuel has a particular temperature at which starts burning, and we call it flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel. It is sometimes said that fire is a good servant but a bad master. It only means that fire is very useful as long as it is kept under control. So, as we have studied, is that fire is a good servant till it is under control, and whenever it is out of control, it becomes our master, and this becomes very dangerous. It's not useful. For instance, we use it to cook our food, warm our homes in winter, and to generate electricity. But on the other hand, if fire gets out of control, it can be very dangerous. Each year, thousands of homes and shops are damaged by fire. Vast areas of forest are also destroyed, and hundreds of people are killed or injured. So you can just imagine the days of Diwali and other such type of the, like on the share also, sometimes the things catch fire, and because of that there is a lot of destruction, damage. Even the forest, whenever they get fire, they are destroyed. Hundreds of people also get killed and injured because of fire. So fire can be dangerous, very dangerous, whenever it becomes out of control. Otherwise, when it is under control, it's very useful. Just as three things are needed to start a fire. There are three main ways in which fire can also be put out, means extinguished. In each, one of the three things needed for burning is taken away. Means as the three things are needed, even absence of one will not be helpful in making fire. In the same way, three things, as they are needed to burn fire, that there are the three things which we can do in order to remove, or we can do to put out the fire. One of the three things is taken away or removed from the place of fire. For example, we can take away the fuel. If the fire has no fuel to feed on, no burning can take place. We often let a fire die, but simply by not adding more fuel to it. So you must have seen some ladies, making fire in the old type, traditional type of the stoves. So which were called chulhas in our local language. So what happens that in those types of the the fuel that was used, then it was put out by not adding more fuel to it, or it was blown out, it was put out by putting some water on it. So by if we don't simply add fuel, then it cannot catch more fire. The second way of putting out a fire is to prevent oxygen from reaching it. No supply of oxygen means no fire. Small fires can be put out or smothered with a damp blanket or a sack. This stops oxygen reaching the burning material. Sometimes carbon dioxide is used to extinguish fire. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material. So children, as we have come to know, the first was not to add more fuel. And the second is that we can remove oxygen. There is no, if there is no supply of oxygen, then there will be no fire. So in order to put out the small fires, small, that means which already suffocated because of lack of oxygen or air, then the fire will be put out. We can also use the damp blankets, wet blankets and sack in order to put out the small fires. And carbon dioxide, this is used in fire extinguishers. So you must have seen the fire extinguishers installed in your schools, in some hospitals and some institutions. Wherever you go, the big institutions, mostly fire extinguishers have been installed in order to put out the fire in emergency. And you know that which gas is used in the fire extinguishers? Yes, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is used to extinguish, means put out fire. The third way of putting out a fire is to remove the heat. If the temperature can be brought down below the flash point, the fuel stops burning. You blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame, bringing down its temperature below the flash point, and the candle goes out. So as we already discussed with you that what is the flash point. Yes, the flash point is the temperature is the particular temperature at which fuel starts burning. And if the temperature is brought down that flash point or the kindling temperature of a fuel, then it would stop burning. And we can blow, it can be blown, so by burning even matchstick and candle. So if the small fire is there, it can be blown out. So by removing the hot air around the flame, it can also help to bring down the temperature flash point of fuel. And in this way the fire can be blown out or the put out. Sometimes water is also sprayed on fire. It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature. So as you know, the absorption means whenever water is put or poured on the fire, it's sprayed, then it absorbs heat, and that's why the temperature, kindling temperature lowers, and the fuel stops burning. The blanket of water also means damp blanket, as I have already told you. The blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen, and the fire is extinguished, means put out. Some fires cannot be put out with water. Yes, electrical fires. Yes, some fires cannot be put out with the water. If water is sprayed onto oil fire, the oil will float to the top of the water and continue to burn. So even if some fire is because of oil, means kerosene oil, as kerosene oil is lighter than water, it will come on the surface of the water, and the thing will catch fire, more fire. So we cannot use water. This can be very dangerous because water can flow quickly, carrying the burning oil with it and spreading the fire. Water should also not be used on fires caused by electrical appliances. You must have seen the electrical appliances in your homes, that main switches or some installations of electric appliances. And if there is a short circuit, then you have not to use water on it. The person spraying water might receive an electric shock and also be killed. A carbon dioxide extinguisher is the best thing to fight an electrical fire. So what is the best suitable thing if there is electrical fire? Yes, we can say that the fire extinguisher, and that is carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. So this is how we can put out the fire also. So in this till now we have learned what fire is, what are the uses of fire, and what are the disadvantages, or whenever the fire is out of control, how does it become dangerous. Now we have also come to know that how to blow out or put out the fire, extinguish it. We spend millions of rupees each year in fighting fires. So you must have seen the firefighters somewhere whenever the house or the buildings catch fire, and we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fires from happening and getting out of control. On the whole, we have learnt rather well to control fire and put it to good use in our day to day life or everyday life, we can say. So, as you know, it has been written in this paragraph that the government or we people, we spend millions of rupees each year to fight fires. So why we wait for catching the fire and then spending? We must be first of all cautious. We must take the preventive measures so that there is no fire, and that's why some ways are there of preventing fires from happening and getting out of control. On the whole, we can say that we have also learned that how we can control fire and put it to good use in our day to day life. Long ago, there were no firemen there, and then when fire broke out, everybody became a firefighter. Yes, the people, they would form human chains. They will stand in a row, and they will pass on the buckets of water from a well or a pond to the blaze of the fire. Now there are some laws about building construction which ensure that space is left between buildings to avoid or to reduce the fire risk. Every new building, especially a public place, must ensure observance of prevention norms. So public place means hospitals, schools. So they must be constructed on such places. There should be some gap between the other buildings. Every new building, especially the public places, they must observe the fire norms, fire prevention norms. Norms means rules. Here we can say bands of firefighting workers with special equipment known as fire brigades. I hope you are familiar. This word is well known to you. You must be familiar with this word. Fire brigades are there to put out fires. Firefighters are highly trained people. So firefighters are given training, and there are some group of people, we can say bands means group of firefighting people, firefighting workers, men with special equipments, means they have some tools or the instruments they have in order to put out the fire. So firefighters are highly trained for this purpose. They possess many skills. They cut off electricity supply, knock down dangerous walls. Knock down means break. If they think that these walls can help to catch more fire, spread the fire, then they will break down those ones, knock down. Spray water where needed, and other materials to bring fire under control. Other materials means like carbon dioxide in order to control the supply of oxygen. So they are also trained in first aid. As you know that whenever there is fire, and the people get hurt, the people get injured, then they have to be given first aid also. So the firefighters are taught to give the first aid also in case of emergencies, in case of injuries. So you can see the picture that how the traditional people or the people in the ancient days used to put out fire if there was on any house. And in the villages they will form a chain, they will pass the buckets or water pots to the other ones filled with water, and it will reach to the fire blaze, and in this way they were able to put out the fire. So this is what we have started in this lesson. They can can help people suffering from burns or from the effects of smoke. So this is about the firefighters. The firefighters are not only trained in order to extinguish, means put out the fire, but also to provide first aid, and they can help the suffering people, those who are suffering from burns, or those who have got unconscious because of smoke, or because of the some other effects caused due to fire. The discovery of fire and its uses helped early man to cope with nature better and gradually adopt a settled mode of life. Fire was the one reason that the early man learned how to settle down at one place. He learned to cook the raw meat. It started cooking the food, cooking the mass, and in this way they started living in the groups also. So the discovery of fire has means much value in our history, and the beginning of life, settled life, and also to cope with nature better, and gradually they adopted, means the early man adopted a settled mode of life. Fire is still worshipped in many parts of the world. So people, they worship also, as they say, Agni Devta, and fire is indeed a friend. But as we know, whenever it is out of control, it becomes our foe. Foe means enemy. It's very dangerous enemy. Not a simple, enemy. This is very dangerous enemy. So this is how we have learned that fire can be useful as well as dangerous. Fire is useful only till this is under our control, because this is a good servant. But whenever it is out of control, then it can be very dangerous, means bad master. So this is all about the lesson. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.